Welcome back to Candy's Art World. I'm Candy, and today I'm going to use my watercolor paints and paint a donut with pink frosting and sprinkles on it. Um, First, I sketch it out with my pencil really lightly so that way the lines will not be visible in the finished product. When you're trying to do or trying to achieve realisticness, might be a term I just made up. Um, you don't want drawn lines shown. There's going to be differential in color between the object and the background and stuff like that. Um, and this time I decided to start with shadowing first because it's a fairly light subject. I usually don't start with the shadow. I usually put that in last, but I decided to try it first this time just to kind of help my eye see where I need to add color a little bit. And for this donut, I had a reference image from probably Pixabay or Pixels.com, but it was one of those donuts that are fried on one side, then flipped and fried on the other, so it leaves a like a light line where the oil didn't really hit that portion of the donut. That's what made me want to draw or do this particular donut in the first place, was that line. I wanted to see if I can achieve that in watercolor. Um, when you watercolor paint, the color will seem darker or will be darker when it's wet, and it dries down lighter than what it was when it was wet. So that's actually helpful in this because the donuts are very light color. And then before I started painting the pink frosting, I used my masking fluid to put in sprinkles, so that way I didn't have to paint over the pink with a different color and end up with awkward shades. But you make sure you let that dry before you paint over it. And then I find it helpful to use a rubber cement eraser to pick back up those masking fluid bits. And for the pink frosting, I did several layers trying to build up the color of, the intensity of the color a little bit. I didn't want it to be perfectly the same shade all over because I wanted to give it a little bit more depth and dimension. So some lighter spots kind of implicate the light's hitting the donut. And the darker parts are where the light's not hitting it. And here I am using the rubber cement eraser to pick up the little bits of masking fluid. And I decided to go with a teal, an orange, and a purple for the sprinkles on the donut. And I have like the little line sprinkles and some dot sprinkles too. They probably have technical names for them instead of lines and dots, but you know. And I put a little bit of shadowing on by the sprinkles just to add a little bit more depth. I could have done a better job on the sprinkles probably, but I was just so excited how good the donut was looking. And I ended up, excuse me. I end up deepening the shadowing right underneath the donut and around the frosting and stuff just a little bit. It helps ground the object and give it a little bit more dimension. And I like to use some paper towel or whatever and help lift if I get a little too much color laid down. And I used my white gel pen to add a little bit of highlights onto the sprinkles. I really hope you enjoyed watching. Please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Have a great day.